Cisco Systems. We're back with Mor Ahuvia from RSA Security, and RSA Security is a division of EMC, as everyone should know by now, but I'll just mention that. All right, and Mor Ahuvia is over in Israel in RSA's Fraud Action Research Labs. So, Mor, go ahead. This is the second part of this we're going to take up is farming and how it's mitigated locally.
Okay. So, first of all, I'm just going to make a distinction. There's local farming and there's general farming, also known as DNS poisoning. So local farming has to do with manipulating what's called the host file. Now, the host file is something that every operating system has. You can easily find it on your computer. And basically, when you look up a website, when you go online, your operating system first looks at your host file to see if there's anything there that it can use. So, you know, you may have, I don't know, your organization's main IP address is there. So some operating systems use that, and if they don't find the answers there, that's when they go on and query the whole hierarchy of DNS servers. So local farming has to do with Trojans that manipulate your host file. In some countries, that the host file is used more than others. For example, in Brazil, we see a lot of local farming Trojans. There's a bunch of Trojans that just change the host file so that people are directed to phishing sites. And of course, that's where they put in their usernames and passwords for banking sites. So that's local farming, and you know, RSA treats it like any other Trojan attack. Now, DNS poisoning is a larger scale problem, and it's also more rare. What happens with DNS poisoning is you have hackers that may hack the storage area of an internet service provider's domain name system. So let me just go back. So when you're looking for a website, your operating system goes to the local host file. If it doesn't find the information it needs there, it goes to a local cache. A cache is a storage area of previous websites that you try to access. Now, if the IP address is not there, it's going to go on and query a series of DNS servers. So the first DNS server that will be queried is your internet service provider's DNS server. So it may be Comcast or AOL or whoever your ISP is. So what happens is you have cyber criminals who get their hands on the cache server of your internet service provider, and so that means that they can manipulate information that has to do with the IP addresses of subscribers' lookups. So what RSA does is there's a system set up that queries a bunch of DNS servers along the way. And any time that an IP address does not match the IP address for the customer we have on record, we know there has been DNS poisoning.
Okay, well, we do have one question coming in, and I think you may have answered part of it, but I'll put it out there anyway. Do you find that most fraud occurs by attacking the DNS servers directly, or the etc. host desktop file?
No, that's the thing. Farming and DNS poisoning are quite rare. When they do happen, we see them in the news. It's a big deal because it can affect a lot of people. For example, in Brazil, we saw we saw hackers that hacked several ISPs' DNS servers and changed the settings there, thereby redirecting millions and millions of subscribers to phony websites. So that was, when we do see farming, it's high profile, it's large scale, and it's rare. The much more common method for defrauding and rerouting any kind of subscriber would be through Trojan attacks and phishing attacks, and that's something that is much more accessible to cyber criminals than getting their hands on an internet service provider's system, which is usually better secured. We have an administrator that looks over it. So that's much more rare. There was also an incident where a DNS system admin actually reset the cache information to redirect users to phishing sites, so that he had insider's access. So it's not a very simple feat to accomplish, and that's why we see much more, many more threats coming from individual users in the form of Trojan attacks and phishing attacks, which are much more simple to launch.
Yeah, so it sounds like the DNS server is not that common because it's usually better secured and more difficult for the enterprising person to try and get into.
Right. Okay. Did you say that the DNS servers themselves are rare? I just want to make sure that I didn't get anything wrong.
Yeah, no, you hit it right. I was saying that, as compared to desktops, the DNS server is obviously a lot more difficult for people to try and get into.
Right. It's much better guarded. You have internet, professional internet service providers and admins that look over it, and you have root servers. So there's dedicated companies, that overlook the proper functioning of these servers.
Yeah,
so they're not as vulnerable.
No, I understand more. It was just one of our questioners was following up on the chat. All right. So thank you very much, and we learned a little bit more about farming today. And for those people who are also interested in the FBI takedown, you can find that up on their press release. They actually have a nice diagram, a little schema up there explaining some of it, which makes good sense as well. Mor, thank you very much, and we look forward to hearing from RSA Fraud Action Research Labs in Israel next week as well.
Sure. Have a great day.
Okay, bye now.